Hello and welcome to The Final Frontiersman, a YouTube channel about all things Trek. I'm Bill and today I have a review for the latest sourcebook for Star Trek Adventures role-playing game 2nd edition. This is the Exploration Guide. As always for reviews, we have the alert system, yellow alerts for the things to draw your attention to and might be of interest, red alerts for the things that we think are great, and the rarely used black alerts for the things that are game-changing and groundbreaking. So let me jump into the small window, take a look at my notes, and let's take a look at this brand new guide for 2nd edition. So here we go. This is the Exploration Guide. This took me completely by surprise. I had no idea this was coming out, and it kind of makes sense following up on the technical manual that was just released. It's currently on sale now. It was physically in stores. It's coming in now. That was kind of the engineer's book. This turned out to be basically the science officer's book. As I went through it, I had no idea what this was. Modiphius was kind enough to send me a PDF to review. Thank you again, Sophie, for being so kind and thanking me. And reading through it, I didn't know what to expect. Exploration guide, okay, we're exploring something. Wasn't really sure what, but as I was going into chapters, basically my progression through the book was like that Vince McMahon meme that goes around where it starts out like, oh, okay, that's interesting. This is getting good. What? And then mind blown by the end. Honestly, spoiler alert. I usually top heavy the spoiler alert, so you know what my thoughts are anyhow, but spoiler alert. By the end of this book, when I was wrapping up the final chapter reading it, I was like, oh my goodness, this entire book is going to be a black alert. But I calmed myself. I paced myself, went back, looked through it. I was a bit more objective. It still is great. But I'm not just going to hammer a black alert on this thing and drown out all the details here. Let's go in, take a look at it point by point. But as I said, it's the science book. It's the book that's going to make the science officers salivate. This is their reference book, but more than that, it is a guide for GMs that is, in my opinion, for Star Trek, or you could even use it for any kind of sci-fi system, really, or even, in case I forget to say this, it's on my mind now, if you're doing any kind of science fiction writing, there's a lot in this book that is going to service your idea amazingly. So yeah, this is going to make the science officers like go wild. They are going to be licking their lips reading this book, but GMs as well. Looking at it though, Exploration Guide, as I said, I didn't know what to expect. Exploring, but what exactly does that mean? So I was taken by surprise by the content. So let's just go through as we do and take a look at chapter by chapter. Chapter 1, as is normal for this, is the character options. This gives you the new stuff for character creation and so on. So starting with new career paths that you could have. The two are independent archaeologists, so think Vash from Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and outpost scientists, so a good example would be Dr. Marcus from Wrath of Khan. Those are two new kind of independent, not Starfleet, not any kind of polity. They're just independent civilian type careers that you could use for your character as your character building. Again, this is about exploration. These two career paths are all about exploring. It does also add a lot of new career events. And I thought some of these events, there's a few of them, I thought some of them were really interesting. I'm going to give this section a yellow alert because this is something that really applies for character creation, really. So it's not saying they will constantly pop up into your game, but there are some really interesting events that pop up in here. Some that stood out to me were cultural exchange program, like you see Riker do in Next Generation. Galactic Mystery was pretty cool. Historical exploration. Think time travel. Studied pre-warp culture. There's a lot in here that's great for background building, but carrying on this yellow alert for things, again, not necessarily character creation, because the next part, new talents. There are 21 new talents, and these are things that you could gain as you are advancing your character after character creation. So it's not only at creation, you could get a lot of these new talents there, but all of these talents relate to exploration and survival and just personal growth. The ones that stood out to me that were really good, I made some memos down here. One called Life Lesson, which is kind of a alternative talent for a veteran. So instead of just taking veteran, this is a different flavor of veteran. It's called Life Lesson. And it also makes use of the log writing that is used for advancement in 2nd edition and was also introduced into Klingon in 1st edition. Another one was called Shared Joy, which I thought was a really cool way. And there were a couple others. Shared Joy, I think Rivalry, and I think Supportive might be the name of it. I might be getting it wrong. I'll have to see, my notes are in here. But they merge mechanical effects with encouraging role play, which is great. The more you role play, the more you act out these aspects of your characters, or just role play. You don't really have to act out the aspects of your characters. It triggers mechanical benefits, and I think that's a wonderful idea. I think the game needs more of this, or should have more of it. Maybe not need, should have more of it, because it's a great way to help nudge and push people into getting into character, perhaps if they have difficulty doing that. If they're just narrating, well, my character is going to do this, do that, which a lot of people are more comfortable playing as. This might be a good way to help slowly bridge them into feeling like they are performing the role of their character. So I like that very, very much. And I gotta say, I absolutely love the show-off talent. That's all I'm going to say about that. So stand down, yellow alert. Next section is about secrets, and why the heck not? Let's give it our yellow alert. Yellow alert. This is about secrets. It's secret value, secret traits, secret talents, or hidden talents, whatever they want to call it. This is about creating maybe a mysterious background for your character, or something about your character that you don't want the table to know. You want it to be revealed later. Maybe you don't even know what that secret is yet as you're making your character, but you know you want to have a secret that could maybe be developed as your campaign goes along, as the story goes along, working together with the GM. This is a way to put it into the game. And why I think this is great, and why I think it should have a yellow alert to draw your attention to, because especially in 1st edition, when it first came out, a lot of kind of classical GMs, I don't know what you want to call it, but GMs from older systems were saying that they don't like the fact that there's not really hidden information in the game. That how do you hide a role? How do you, if you want to do something as a surprise, as a bluff, how do you do it in the game? And a lot of people were struggling with that. It's actually super simple, but I think when a narrative game or narrative system like this comes out, it's kind of hard to visualize it when you come from a more mechanical background, gaming, like some of the classics, which I will not name. However, with these rules here showing you how to do it as a player character, to have a secret value, have a secret trait, secret whatever, you create a secret value where it says, I have a secret, that's your value, or your trait is secret. And then later, when it's revealed, it changes into whatever the secret may be. And the one good thing about it is, instead just, maybe not the one good thing, but a good thing about it is, instead just being plain old secret, there's a mechanic on here of how the secret, whatever it may be, is weighing down on your conscience. So if you have a secret, it lowers your maximum stress rating, which is a very cool thing, because you're hiding something from your fellow crew members. It's something that's troubling you, bothering you. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be a secret. So until that secret is revealed, you are going to have your maximum stress rating lowered, which I thought was a great way to reflect how a secret, whatever it may be, could affect a character. And again, a lot of this is blending mechanics with roleplay. And that's a great thing for players. That's a great thing for GMs. Really dug that. It's not going to apply to everyone. It's not going to apply every situation. It's not going to apply constantly throughout the game. A lot of these things in this first chapter are going to be very specific and depending on what your style of play is and what you like in your game. So stand down, yellow alert again, if we can. There's also a section for additional awards and honors if you're doing like the award system for advancement, like giving different kinds of medals or whatever it may be. What is cool about this is it gives a lot more options for non-Starfleet characters. So instead of awards like the Pike Medal of having great hair or whatever it might be in the main core rulebook, this will be things that are maybe for civilians or maybe for Klingons or other polities or things that are a little more general. So it feels natural to give it out to characters who are not Starfleet. So going back to your notes, oh yeah, the next section here. On the flip side, so it surprised me again. Section about observation and analysis. This is all about observation tasks. One of the key fundamental tasks in just about every single role-playing game out there on the market. This is advice on how to do these very crucial, very omnipresent, they're always there, you're always needing to do observation, advice on how to do it through the role play, and something that is generally taken for granted that it's always there. But what's really cool, and I'm giving this a red alert. Thought I am, nothing popped up. Red alert, I said. There we go. So I'm giving this a red alert. There is a sidebar that gives suggestions for attribute and department pairings. So if you were going to do an observation task with command and engineering, what would that look like? So it tells you what each one of those attributes and departments used in observation would kind of equate to. So that is a great help for not only observation tasks as they are, but I think it can open the eyes of a lot of players and especially a lot of new GMs as well in seeing how these attributes and how the departments work together and mesh together to do the same job, but in a different way. Really thought this good. And of course, as a second edition book, there are sidebars, there are tables, there are random tables throughout this entire book. Forgot to mention that at the beginning, but if you are somebody who loves having charts like this, especially random charts you can roll on if you don't want to decide or you want to be surprised, you want it to be spontaneous, this book has tons of charts just like you have come to expect from Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition. So don't fret if that's a worry. It's sticking with that. So stand down, red alert. That chart, that sidebar, I should say, is amazing. And I would love to see more of these as the books continue for other kind of tasks, whatever they may be, because these are things that really help new players. I should have said that before I stood down, red alert, but that's what it is. Take it or leave it. Another thing is, there was another thing. I'm not going to give it an alert. There was a section about forming hypotheses. So it felt like to me, more so than what we got in the core rulebook, but it felt like to me that this was kind of the, I think it was core. This is the more second edition spiritual successor to the scientific method from first edition. So it also has like complex exploring. So doing exploration related tasks that might be challenges or extended tasks. This explains how you could do that in the exploration setting. So a lot of really good, this is like the toolbox for the background of creating the characters and the games and mechanically playing those characters in the game. That's chapter 1. Now chapter 2, things start to get interesting. Because reading chapter 1, thinking, yeah, makes sense. Okay, you got archaeologists, you got exploration traits, you got this, you got that. All right, this is about how to be an explorer in space. Wonderful. Then chapter 2 comes along. It's like, yeah, okay, we're done with that stuff. Take a look at this. So chapter 2 is sector generation. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's how to randomly create and populate an entire sector of space. So, what kind of planets are in there? What kind of spatial features are in there? What kind of anomalies? How many stars are in there? What types of stars? So, this is a way to build an entire sector to use, whether you're doing like a sandbox campaign or, surprise, an exploration campaign where you're given an entire sector to just go star by star and seeing what's out there. This will allow you to create, design, populate, and expand on your own original entire sector. It's something I know a lot of players are interested in. I've heard a lot of players talking about it on all the social media, Reddit, Facebook, all of these, that they love creating this. There's a lot of players that love that detail, that minute creating every little last piece there. This will do it. It has flowcharts galore for spatial features generation checklist. There's so much detail. Spatial phenomena, nebula, nova, radiation, ion storm, pulsar, black holes, all these things with descriptions of each. This was almost like a science textbook inside a Star Trek role-playing book. And it makes perfect sense for Star Trek, of course. I believe starting with this chapter, like the majority of this chapter and possibly the next two, I don't know all the details. I believe that's Aaron Pollier who contributed most. Like, as I'm reading this, I felt like I was listening to Aaron talking, because I ask him lots of science questions. You see him on Continuing Conversation. I like, the man is a living science textbook, and so you can kind of feel his hand throughout these chapters here. But as someone who likes science, but feels kind of weak in using science for like good, captivating stories, I'm more of a drama person. Things like this are very interesting to me, especially the descriptions that are given. So it's not just named, there's a black hole there. It'll describe what these phenomena are, so you as a GM or as a player can have a background and you know the gist of what is being discussed. This was great. Plus conventions on how to name these sectors. This is really detailed stuff. And full disclosure, being perfectly honest, as I like to be as much as I can, don't take it the wrong way, this kind of stuff as a whole does not interest me. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I love the science, I love the detail, I love the information that's packed in here. But as a GM, I'm not the kind who wants to create an entire sector by myself. I don't want to do that kind of simulating. That is not the level of gameplay, that macro level GMing. I know for a lot of people it is, and I completely understand that, and I see the appeal. But for my own particular style, this is not what interests me. The information does, the detail does, the science does, but this isn't something, this chapter, I should say, isn't something I am going to make complete use of. I'm going to take a lot out of here for my game, but I'm not the kind of person who wants to create that level of a world or of a sector for my games. That's just not how I run things. But I know there are people who love it, and this, for those people, this is going to be exactly what you're looking for. And instead of just randomly generating it, which you can with all the tables that are in there, this allows you a hands-on experience of building it yourself. I think you're going to love it. And now, having said that, I'll say it's at this point where I thought, great information for a science textbook, but I think this book is not going to be for me if it's all going to be like generating this, generating that, doing this whole like free open sandbox style creating. I couldn't be more wrong. Going in, chapter 3. We just got done. Sector generation. What comes next? Star and system generation. Oh, okay. We're at the next stage of the McMahon phase here. It's like, okay. So we just went at the macro. We're going down a step smaller in scale. We're going down into a system now instead of the entire sector. We're in a system. Star generation. Again, for those of you who want to create whole things by yourself, entire sectors, star systems, whatever it is. Now here you go, creating star generation, spectral types of stars. Let's do it. Red alert. Here we go. We're deep in the science now. Spectral types, luminosity, traits for stars, spatial phenomena that is going to be inside these individual star systems in the sector. But again, it doesn't have to follow from creating the sector to making the system. You could take this part just separately. One episode, here's a system that you're exploring. You don't need the whole like West Marches campaign where you have like this whole world here. Take what you want. You want this level? You want that level? Start whatever level you are interested in. But the general detail that is piled in there, the spatial phenomenon, the star level, all of this is... And then you compare. Here's the weird thing. Like, if you're doing the spatial phenomena, like, here's why this is red alert. The detail is insane. Like, you do spatial phenomenon, and you're trying to decide, okay, well, what kind of star does this go with? So you're not just throwing things randomly. This is telling you, like, this is kind of phenomenon that would be around this type of a star. It's crazy how detailed and how accurate and how scientific this is making it. Like I said, this is kind of, the macro was kind of leveled that, like, okay, that's not what I need. This is like, okay, I don't really need this detail constantly, but when I want to do things right, oh my god, it's right here. Like, you just got basically a text form of Aaron Pollier AI put into a book. Be like, what kind of phenomenon goes with the star? And then a hologram of him just appears in front of you and tells you. There's a table that you can roll and it will show you where these things go. Like, what is going on here? But then not just the stars, not just the phenomenon that's inside there, but then system generation. How many and what types of planets would be part of each system? And it's showing you how to determine that and how it would be. I couldn't spoil this for you if I wanted to. I don't have the degree in science to do it, but reading it is a joy. You will get, especially those of you who want the accurate details, you are going to get so much out of this chapter. It's crazy. That's all I'm going to say about chapter 3 right now. Astounding work. Like I said, I like science. I love science. I'm kind of weak on using it well for my games. I think that's going to start changing with this book. And this chapter is where the excitement really started, because I can see myself using a lot of this, maybe not as a whole, but piece by piece. Okay. Stand down, red alert, gushing alert is what that is. Chapter 4, planet generation. From the macro going down to the micro. If you thought I was gushing about chapter 3, we're on the next phase of McMahon face right here. Chapter 4, planet generation. I'm giving this first part that I need to mention black alert. Planetary classification. You know, we have the M-type planet. They always have the class M planet. That's the breathable one, like the class K planet, class J planet, like a Jupiter gas giant. You see these, they talk about in the core rulebook. I'm pretty sure the second edition rulebook, maybe definitely first edition, you had this information. Of course, you see it in Star Trek a lot. I've looked it up a number of times trying to see. There's very few. This book, for the first time in my life as a Star Trek fan, it gives you an A to almost Z classification of planet types. 23 individual alphabet letters classify a Class A planet, B planet, C planet, D planet, E planet, F, G, H, I, J, K. I've never seen that before. I've never seen such an individual classification for a variety of worlds. It's only missing 3. There's no, from what I remember, I could be wrong, but my alphabet skills are pretty strong. There's no U, there's no V, and there's no Z. I'm pretty sure. They have 23 individual classifications for the planets. There might have been 2 for one type, or maybe I'm thinking of a star. Yeah. Anyhow, never seen that before as a Star Trek fan. That's something that's always grabbed my interest in the days. Like, oh, I wonder what a Class B planet is, and you look up, and there never was a Class B planet. It's like, okay, well, what the heck is? Why are we Class M? Wouldn't we be A? Wouldn't like breathable one? We get, and I believe again that was good old Aaron Pollier stepping into the role, fleshing these out. Mind blown. This is what I want. This is what I want. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Star Trek Adventures is doing for Star Trek what West End Games D6 Star Wars did for the Star Wars franchise years before the prequels came out, when all we had was the trilogy and some wonky Ewok movies. This is being exactly what we want as a reference source as fans. What I want as a fan, I assume a few other people do too. I'm not that strange. But oh my goodness, I've never seen such a complete alphabet planet classification. Okay, I better move on. Okay, stand down, black alert. Good gravy. Okay, they still have like random tables. You could roll for positions where a planet would be in position, how many key planets are in there, guides. So much detail. Oh, why not? We're on a roll. Red alert. Thing about outer worlds and inner worlds, calculating mass and size based on Earth, how many Earth mass, or how many Earth or Jupiter for the larger planets, uses that. The detail, again, I don't want this chapter to get away without the red alert. The detail I was describing in chapter 3 for a planetary system, now you got it down to an individual solar system and the planets in the system lined up there, what kind of planets they are, the detail overall of these planets. These 2 chapters, 3 and 4, astounding science, something that a GM like me is going to just tear into, or if I need a detail, throw out there science detail about a planet, about something. I now have all the resource I need in these 2 chapters to do it. The confidence level that this gives me as a GM is through the roof. Love it. Okay, stand down, red alert. Dang, these 2 chapters were good. And we only have 1 chapter left. So, chapter 5, Planetary Biomes. Going down, macro, all the way down to micro. Now we are on the planet. We are on the planet, and we are seeing exactly the kind of environment, terrain, the biome of each individual world we want to send our crews to. And this chapter is getting a black alert by far. It's getting a black alert. My word. There are 9 subchapters in this final chapter, chapter 5. Each of them focuses on a different biome. So you got 9 different biomes, which itself is really good. But wait, there's more. Each one is going to have, among some other special things for each biome, they are all going to have traits, advantages and complications you could use, random event tables that could happen in these biomes, recommended viewing episodes to show you these situations, these events, these environments in action as they appear in Star Trek, story generators for creating your own episodes and events for these kind of worlds, on these kind of worlds, and then special notes about the terrain. And again, some of them are going to have very individualized things given. But let's go down quickly through this list. Let's go down, take a look. The terrain that you're getting, and it's super detailed, starts with cave systems. Plenty of caves in Star Trek. 11 pages on cave systems. Think about that. Think about the books. Think about the role-playing books. All the source books here. Consider what 11 pages translates to for role-playing information. This thing, just to give you some detail, it has listings of minerals that you can find in these caves. Not only that, but what the minerals are used for. So if you mine them, what kind of technology or use do they have once they're taken? What level of detail, amazing minutia that is given in here. We're just in the first section. Then it has animal types, and it has adaptations that you'll find in these cave systems. You could create an entire campaign, multi-season campaign with this information, and they never leave the caves. You could start Cave Trek. There is so much detail because you could generate stories and events and encounters and creatures and everything that you would ever dream of having happen in a cave, and more that you would never dream. The information is there. I could not believe it, but that is one of 9. Next, deserts, 11 pages. What types of deserts are there, and how do they form? What kind of organisms and plants exist in each individual type? This will tell you. 11 pages on deserts, just like the caves. Forest, 11 pages. Jungles, 12 pages. Mountains and hills, 8 pages. Plains, 10 pages. Swamps, 9 pages. Cold biomes, 9 pages. And finally, water biomes, 11 pages. Count how many pages that is. How much of this book is about individual types of biomes on worlds? I've never seen this level of detail. As I said, you could build season upon season upon season with the information in chapter 5 alone, and you would never run out. There are so many hooks and events and encounters and just new things introduced here that you could do so many different cave episodes, and they're all different. So many desert episodes, and they're all different. There is so much variety and so much detail that when you create your own new world or your setting, whatever the episode is, even if you don't care about the science, this is going to populate how it works, how it exists in reality in your mind, so you don't even have to think about it. Oh my God, I love this. Stand down, black alert. That's chapter 5. That's the end of the book. Oh, before I stop with that, red alert. There is a list of tables as a separate index. So if you want to jump to a specific table, you can flip right to this index and it'll tell you exactly where to go. More books need something like that, because especially Star Trek Adventures is so table heavy with its information. This has a very clean, clear index at the end, so you can find whatever page for the table you need to generate whatever it might be, from the macro level down to the micro level of creating your entire sector or this one individual icy moon in orbit of some distant star. Amazing, amazing work. I didn't know what to expect when I opened this book, and my God, I was in love by the time I finished chapter 5. Red alert, stand down. Okay, get me out of this little box here. All right, final thoughts. What do I have on this here? I think you know I like the book, but let me take a look. So of course this is going to be, it's for everyone. It's definitely for GMs. It's definitely for science officers. So much you could get out of it, especially if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about and you have no science background. This is for you. But it's also, as I mentioned before, for the people who want to generate their own original, unique sector, system, solar system, planet of the Star Trek universe. You want to create your own. This is definitely for you. Hands down, don't pass this up. So for you, it's also for a way to easily create on the fly a variety of worlds or settings for an individual episode. As I mentioned before, even if you're not interested in the science, you just want to whip up a world real fast and you want to make it feel real, like it exists out there, this quickly does that. So that is something I really loved about it. This is, as I mentioned before, you could generate hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of unique stories with all the information they give you. You'd never run out. This is as much a GM toolkit as it is an exploration guide or a guide for scientists. Like the tech manual was the guide for the engineering, the ops people. This is where it's at for the science officers. But for the GM, you would never run out of ideas. If you had this is your, you could create campaigns for the rest of your career in Star Trek Adventures. I did not expect that level added in to the science of this book. I didn't know what to expect with this book, but my goodness. But the detail and utility, I mentioned multiple times in this, they are next level. Like second edition STA 2E has been growing into the definitive resource for Star Trek information, not just for STA, but for Trek fans in general, or Star Trek in general. The level that it is fleshing out the background and the setting of Star Trek is just so good. And I can't believe the quality is remaining this high. And it just reminds me of how so many people were worried, second edition coming out, like, oh, you're milking it, like there's no reason for a second edition, we don't need to do this. Second edition so far, everything has been a home run. Like first edition books I loved, they were giving good book after good book after good book. This is giving great book after great book after great book. We've just begun, and I hope it keeps up. I know it's hard to maintain this level constantly forever. I know you can't, but wow, we are off to a good start for the life of second edition. The few products that we've gotten so far, I couldn't be happier with. Every product that comes out, like, don't really know what to expect from this, but let's see. And by the end of the book, I'm gushing. Check it out. Pre-order should be going on now. So you could, if you pre-order, you'll get the PDF if as long as it's ready. Sometimes it's a little delayed, but you'll get the PDF before the print arrives. If not, you'll have to wait a little while until it's actually released officially before you can buy the PDF separately. Or if you buy the physical book anytime, you will get the PDF. That is just how Modiphius rolls. But I hope you check out. I hope you like it, and especially if you need a boost for science like I do, Yeah, I recommend this. Of course, I was going to recommend it from the beginning. You could tell that from what I said, but definitely recommend it. I hope this at least piqued your interest into checking out. But thank you very much. As always, I appreciate everyone and anyone who takes time out of their day to watch me ramble. So thank you for stopping by, and I hope you stick around for what we have coming up next, which are some pretty fun things, I think. As always, stay safe out there, my friends. Live long and prosper. Peace and long life. I'll see you.